بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سورة Al-Maa'idah, Ayah 54. قال الله تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا من يرتد منكم عن دينه فسوف يأتي الله بقوم يحبهم ويحبونه أذلة على المؤمنين أعزة على الكافرين يجاهدون في سبيل الله ولا يخافون لومة لائم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله واسع عليم. So he calls out to the believers and he says, whoever yartadda, from irtadda yartaddu irtidad, which means to return back, an dinihi, from his deen, meaning to say to apostatize. The verb yartadda is majzoom because it is a fi'l of shart, and it ends with a fatha because that is permissible to do in the language. It can also be recited man yartadid with the sukoon explicitly on the last dal. Both are possible. He says, fasawfa. The fa comes as a response to the shart, to the condition. Allah will bring forth a qawm, a people, whom He will love and they will love Him. Adhillatin, meaning humble and lowly, ala al-mu'minin, to the believers. A'izzatin ala al-kafirin, and harsh or severe to the kuffar. Adhillatin and a'izzatin are both majroor because they describe the qawm, which is also majroor biqawmin, majroor bil-kasra. Yujahiduna fi sabilillahi, they will fight in the way of Allah. Likewise, they will spend their wealth to promote the deen of Allah. And they will not fear the lawma, which is the blame, of the la'im, the one who blames. In other words, they will not care what anyone says about them. As long as they are striving in the way of Allah, that is all that matters, not the opinions of people. As opposed to the munafiqeen, who only care about the opinions of other people. He says that is the grace of Allah, meaning the idea of striving in the way of Allah and Allah loving them. All of that is the grace of Allah. He gives to whomsoever He wills, and Allah is wasi', meaning expansive, as in expansive in all of His righteous attributes, and alim, knowledgeable, as in knowledgeable of all things. The name Al-Wasi' can also mean that He is sufficient for all of His creation's needs, so that He is expansive in the provisions that He provides His creation. And both of these interpretations are correct. Now obviously you notice that this ayah is speaking about those Muslims who would apostatize from their deen. Did this happen during the time of the Prophet? The answer is yes, it did. There were a few groups of Muslims who apostatized. So towards the end of the Prophet's life, there were a tribe called Banu Mudlij from Al-Yaman, and from them there was a man called Al-Aswad Al-Anasi. He was a soothsayer and then claimed to be a prophet. As we all know, people copy each other. So Al-Aswad would have seen the Prophet declaring himself to be a prophet, and then he would be thinking, well, if he can do it, so can I. Al-Aswad Al-Anasi was killed one night before the Prophet's death by the Sahabi Fayroz Ad-Daylami radiallahu anhu. And then we have another tribe, Banu Hanifa. From them, a man called Musaylama claimed to be a prophet. He was called Musaylama Al-Kadhab, the great liar. He was killed after the Prophet's death during the Khilafah of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. Interestingly, the man who laid the fatal blow on him was Al-Wahshi, the same man who killed Hamza radiallahu anhu in the Battle of Uhud. Al-Wahshi would say that during the Jahiliyyah I killed the best of people, and during Islam I killed the worst of people, and I hope that this is for that. Meaning to say, he hopes that the scales are balanced now. And also some people from the tribe of Banu Tamim apostatized when a woman from them called Sajah bint Al-Mundhir claimed to be a prophet. She actually married her own self to Musaylama al-Kadhab. So you can only imagine quite the marriage. When she married Musaylama, she began to follow him, and her people also followed him as well. And from them there were Banu Hanifa, as mentioned before. However, with Sajah bint al-Mundhir, she repented and embraced Islam again, and was faithful to the deen thereafter. During the life of the Prophet also, Banu Asad apostatized when a man amongst them by the name of Tulayha ibn al-Khuwaylid al-Asadi claimed to be a prophet. The Prophet sent Khalid ibn Walid to fight him. Tulayha fled up to Sham, but then afterwards repented, embraced Islam, and remained faithful. After the death of the Prophet, and during the Khilafah of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh, many from the Arab apostatized. They were largely in two groups. The first group rejected the Sharia outright, and the second group accepted the Sharia in terms of the acts of ibadah, only they rejected paying the zakah. Abu Bakr fought them and returned them back to al-Islam. Okay, so reflecting on this ayah, we take that apostatizing from this deen will only harm yourself. It will not harm Allah Jalla wa Ala, obviously, and neither will it harm the deen of Allah nor the Muslimin, because actually Allah will replace you with someone who is better. Allah Jalla wa Ala does not need anyone to be a Muslim. The Muslims need to be Muslims. We also take the description of Allah of love, that He loves and is loved. We also learn a great benefit, that the Muslim is humble to the other Muslimin. He does not say, oh, look at this Muslim, he's just a miskeen, I do not need to respect him. This is completely wrong. And yet to the kafir, he would say, oh, this kafir is of such a status, I have to respect him and be lowly to him. No, rather we say that a kafir king is lower in status with Allah than a poverty-stricken Muslim. Yet we find many Muslims, they have the opposite attitude. And this just speaks to their level of Iman and how influenced they are by the kuffar. The correct attitude here is that the Muslim sees himself superior to the kafir, not because the Muslim himself internally and intrinsically is superior. No, everyone's a human. One is no more superior to the other, but rather the Muslim is superior because of his deen, and the kafir is inferior because of his deen. If the kafir embraces Islam, then it is entirely possible that this kafir or former kafir becomes superior to the Muslim who was born a Muslim. It's all about the deen. You could find people who deem themselves to be superior to you because of their race. You could have white supremacists or black supremacists. Such people exist. But of course this superiority is nonsense, because you cannot control your race. Whereas your deen, you can control it. You can easily change your deen, as happens every day. We also take from this ayah the virtue of striving in the way of Allah, whether it is through fighting or through financial means, that is to say, funding the fighters. We also take the virtue of not caring what other people say about you if they blame you or try to defame you for following the sunnah. As long as you are upon the deen, then the people of misguidance are always going to try to defame you. This is what happened with all the prophets. But the mu'min does not care and does not fear. As long as he is doing right by Allah Jalla wa Ala, then he is at ease and at rest. We also take that these characteristics mentioned in this ayah are from the grace of Allah Jalla wa Ala. He gives it to whomso He wills. But this is based on His wisdom, of course. Those who are worthy of it will have this grace. Those who are not will not have this grace. So if you want to be the recipient of the grace of Allah Jalla wa Ala, then you have to strive for it, and you will receive it. But if you turn away, then you will not receive it. In ayah number 49, you'll remember what Allah Jalla wa Ala said, فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَاعْلَمْ أَنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُصِيبَهُم بِبَعْضِ ذُنُوبِهِمْ. If they turn away, then know that Allah wants to afflict them with some of their sins. meaning it is because of their sinful lifestyle that Allah does not grant them the tawfiq to embrace the deen and to accept the Prophet. This is because of their sinful nature that Allah misguides them. And we also take the two names of Allah Jalla wa Ala, Wasi' and Alim, and we explained what these names mean. But of course, these names are not just empty titles, they have descriptions which are fitting to Allah Jalla wa Ala as well. As opposed to names of humans which are merely titles, the descriptions do not necessarily apply. For example, if a person is called Rahim, it does not necessarily mean that therefore he is a merciful type of person. He could be quite the opposite, but his name is just merely a title. As for Allah Jalla wa Ala, all His names have attributes pre-packaged in them. Ayah number 55. إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. Your wali, meaning your ally, is only Allah and His Messenger, that is of course Muhammad ﷺ, and the believers. So the address is to the believers, saying that your wali, your ally, is Allah and the Messenger and the other believers. And He also gives a description of these believers. They are the ones who establish the salah, and they give the zakah, and they are raki'un, meaning in ruku'. So you see, He gives a special mention to the ruku', even though it is part of the salah, but because the ruku' is a position of humbleness, and so therefore He gives it a special mention. It's important to note here, grammatically, that the وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ is not a hal of those giving the zakah. So it should not be understood as they give zakah whilst in ruku'. No, that would be incorrect. Rather, they give zakah and they are in ruku'. Okay, so reflecting upon this ayah, we find that it is Allah, the Messenger and the believers who are the allies of you as a believer, and that it is impermissible to take the kuffar as allies and close friends with whom you have closeness and love and support. We also find the virtue of performing the salah. This is the emblem of Islam and the emblem of the believer, giving their zakah likewise, and performing the ruku', because it is an expression of humility. Also we learn that performing the acts of ibadah need to be done with humility. If we say that the words of Allah وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ means and they are humble, then it means that all these acts of ibadah that they are performing, the salah and the zakah and so on, is done out of humility. If we understand the word raki'un to mean humble, as opposed to physically bowing down in the salah. So it could be understood in two ways. Either they are physically bowing down in the salah, or that raki'un means they are humble. وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَإِنَّ حِزْبَ اللَّهِ هُمْ الْغَالِبُونَ. Whoever takes Allah as a wali and His Messenger and the believers, then the hizb, meaning the group or the party of Allah, they are the ghalibun, ghalaba, yaghlibu, ghalaban, to overcome. They are the ones who will overcome the enemies from the mushrikeen, from the Yahud, from the Nasara, and so on. So reflecting on this ayah, we take that if you take Allah and the Messenger and the believers as your allies, then you are from the hizb of Allah Jalla wa Ala, the group of Allah or the party of Allah. We also learn that this party of Allah will be the victorious one, as Allah has sent His deen to overcome all other ways of life and religions. So the question is not whether Islam will be victorious. That is not the question. The question is, will you be part of the winning team? هذا والله أعلم.